referring to the Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills and Social Development and the Status of Persons with Disabilities, and B, deleting paragraph C. The amendment is in order.
And questions and comments.
We'll have questions and comments after question period.
No, when the House next takes up this motion.
Well, when the House next takes up the motion. Okay. Okay. So we have Pickering, Brooklyn. Yes. Okay. So we'll start statements by we'll start statements by members. Déclaration de députés. The honourable member for Pickering, Brooklyn.
Mr. Speaker, as we recognize Seniors Month, I rise today to highlight that this Saturday, June 13th, marks Canada's National Long-Term Care Day. This year's theme, Caring Across Canada, celebrates the residents, families, staff, volunteers, and advocates who make long-term care communities strong from coast to coast to coast. Long-term care is an essential part of our healthcare system. But above all, it is home to hundreds of thousands of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, our seniors deserve to live with dignity, respect, and a strong sense of community. On behalf of the Canadian Association of Long-Term Care, I thank all those whose dedication makes this care possible and invite all members to join me in celebrating the hard work of our essential workers this Seniors Month. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done.
The honourable member for Airdrie, Cochrane.
On June 12th, Filipinos worldwide celebrate Philippines Independence Day. And as we celebrate, we recognize the rich history, culture, and enduring spirit. Filipino Canadians have made remarkable contributions in every field, from healthcare and education, to business, public service, and the arts, and certainly to charitable initiatives, helping to strengthen and enrich our country. At the same time, we acknowledge that the grief that many are experiencing following this week's devastating earthquake in Mindanao. Our prayers are with those who have been affected, and we stand in solidarity with those mourning and rebuilding. Being married to a Filipino myself, I've seen firsthand the values of hard work, resilience, and commitment to family and community that define Filipino culture and enrich Canada. The day also reminds us of the value of freedom that inspired the Philippine independence movement and continues to inspire people everywhere. On behalf of Canada's Conservatives, I wish all Filipinos a happy Independence Day, and I look forward to joining in tomorrow's celebrations. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay!
The honourable member for Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize Dr. Arun Garg for his lifetime of leadership, service, and dedication to improving public health in British Columbia. For more than 50 years, including several decades with Fraser Health, Dr. Garg has advanced culturally informed healthcare. He has championed prevention, healthy living, and community-based care while bridging traditional knowledge with modern medicine. As founder of Canada-India Network Society and a leader of the South Asian Health Institute, Dr. Garg has brought together physicians, researchers, and community leaders to improve culturally informed care and healthier living. Dr. Garg's vision, humility, and commitment to teamwork have created a legacy for generations to come. Please join me in thanking Dr. Arun Garg for his amazing service to our communities and Canada.
Well done. Well done.
The honourable member for Flamborough, Glanbrook, Brants North.
Mr. Speaker, last Friday, Waterloo, Ontario celebrated its annual Remember Everyone Deployed, better known as Red Friday, hosted by the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 551 in the core of Waterdown. On Red Friday, we wore red to show appreciation for veterans, active military, first responders, and their families. This year, Waterdown saw a record crowd with live music, activities, and displays featuring first responder and military vehicles. The Waterdown Museum of Hope was also open. The museum hosts some amazing displays showcasing Canadian heroes and peacekeepers, narrated by students from the Waterdown District High School. The event would not have been possible without the leadership of Sheila Latner, president of the Waterdown Legion, and event co-hosts Bob Thomas and Judy Partridge. To all who have served our country, to all who continue to serve, thank you for your service. Thank you for keeping Canada strong and free.
The honourable member for Akati Bathurst.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to pay tribute to a true local hero in my region, Corporal Sylvain Bergeron of the Lamec RCMP detachment. On June 2nd, in Chasson-Office, a teenage girl in severe psychological distress found herself in cold, choppy waters more than 100 feet from the shore. Upon arriving at the scene, Corporal Bergeron realized she was in imminent danger, and without hesitation, he jumped into the water to rescue her. Risking his own safety, he swam out to her, preventing her from drowning, and brought her safely back to shore, despite the difficult conditions and freezing water. In the darkest moments, there are sometimes people who choose to act with exceptional courage. And on that day, Corporal Bergeron embodied the best of what the public service represents, namely dedication, compassion, and courage. On behalf of all the citizens of Acadie Bathurst and the members of the House of Commons, I express our deep gratitude and our most sincere congratulations. And I wish the young woman a quick recovery. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Perth Wellington.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to celebrate the fathers, grandfathers, and father figures in our lives and the importance of men's mental health. June is Men's Health Month, a time dedicated to raising awareness, promoting prevention, and improving the health and well-being of men and boys. To support this initiative, I will be hosting and playing in our 3rd annual Dodge for Dads Dodgeball Tournament in support of mental health on the Friday of the Father's Day weekend, because there's no dodging the importance of mental health. For this fun evening of physical activity and team building, I will be partnering with the Well Community Collective, one of several wellness hubs across Perth, Huron, and Wellington counties that connect families and individuals with the resources, advocacy, and safe spaces that they need. I know I'm looking forward to getting out and throwing around a few dodgeballs in support of men's mental health because, Mr. Speaker, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Markham Stouffville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've lost a great Canadian. Khalid Usman was a legend for his leadership and dedication to community. For decades, he served in countless senior roles in organizations in Markham and York Region, including 14 years as a Markham councillor. A chartered accountant by profession, he was a champion of the Pakistani and Muslim communities, of interfaith and intercultural dialogue. The first time I visited a mosque some 20 years ago, it was at Khalid's invitation. He helped raise funds in support of hospitals in Canada and in Pakistan, including for Markham Stouffville Hospital in my riding. Always greeting people with an infectious smile, he gave in so many ways, with kindness, energy, passion, and good humor. He was truly larger than life. I and many of my colleagues here in this House are honoured to have known him and sad to have lost a friend. He will be sorely missed. My sincere condolences to Abida, his daughters and their families, and so many friends. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honour the life of an extraordinary British Columbian philanthropist and community builder, Mel Zajac, who passed away at the age of 98. I had the privilege of knowing Mel and visited Zajac Ranch on mission on several occasions, including just last month. It's an amazing place, constantly improving. What always struck me was that right to the very end, Mel remained passionately committed to helping youth with disabilities. After the heartbreaking loss of 2 sons, Mel transformed personal tragedy into a remarkable legacy of hope. His vision gave life to Zajac Ranch, a fully accessible camp where children and young adults with complex medical conditions can experience joy, friendship, confidence, and the sense of belonging that every child needs. Over the decades, thousands have been touched by Mel and Wendy's belief that barriers should never prevent a child from thriving. Mel Zajac leaves behind a legacy of philanthropy and compassion. On behalf of the House, I extend the deepest condolences to Wendy, his family, and the entire Zajac community.
The honourable member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, somewhere up in the clouds, perhaps Sophie Fauché is hearing the outpouring of praise and kind words that followed the announcement of her far too untimely passing. Sophie Fauché, radiant and stellar, exuded a powerful and luminous energy that made her a woman loved by all. This great actress, daughter of a great actress, moved effortlessly from drama to comedy, from writing to voice acting, from Frida Kahlo to Maria Callas, captivated by these extraordinary women in whom she perhaps recognized herself in whom we certainly recognized her. Everyone will tell you of her ability to fly off the handle and then burst out laughing, to be moved to tears and then be outraged. A great Quebecer and the embodiment of what it means to live life to the fullest. It's a sad loss, and on behalf of the Bloc, I offer her family and her many friends and admirers my deepest condolences.
The Honourable Member for Guelph.
Mr. Speaker, let's honour the life and legacy of James Ross Hurley, founding director of the Parliamentary Internship Program. Created in 1969 by Wellington Guelph MP Alf Hales, the program flourished under James Hurley's leadership as a unique, nonpartisan opportunity for university graduates to experience parliamentary democracy.
More than 550 young Canadians have participated in the program since. Members of this Parliament, members of the Press Gallery, and former leaders at the highest levels of the public, private, and non-profit sectors in Canada and around the world.
Devoted his life to public service as a Privy Council Office constitutional advisor to 6 prime ministers, a beloved mentor and professor of political science at the University of Ottawa. In March 2025, he left us, and in a final act of generosity to the Hales and Hurley Parliamentary Foundation, ensured the program continues in perpetuity.
His family, including his sister Anne Gibson, are here with us today. James Hurley's legacy will continue to inspire future generations.
Canada inspires generations to come.
The honourable member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, after a decade of Liberal mismanagement, Canadians are paying the price. Under these Liberals, Canada is now the only G20 country in a recession, and families are feeling it at the kitchen table. Do you want proof? A recent United Way poll shows that 38% are struggling with food insecurity, and 1 in 5 say that all the food in their home was eaten with no money left over to buy more. 40% are losing sleep over how to stretch their paycheck just to afford groceries, and 22% of Canadians are experiencing poverty themselves. But you know who's not going hungry? Our jet-setting Prime Minister. That's who. In just 1 year as Prime Minister, he spent almost $1 million taxpayer dollars on food for his private jet. That's enough money to feed 55 Canadian families for a full year. Mr. Speaker, regular Canadians are barely scraping by. While the Prime Minister eats 5-star meals on his private jet, his Liberal recession is causing financial insecurity, stress, and hunger for everyone else.
The Honourable Member from Mont-Saint-Bruno-Lacadie. Mr. Speaker, today I would like to highlight the presence on Parliament Hill of a man whose courage commands the respect of the entire international community, Dr. Denis Mukwege. A renowned Congolese gynecologist, the doctor dedicated his life to treating survivors of sexual violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where such atrocities are all too often used as a weapon of war. As the founder of Panzi Hospital, he and his team have helped tens of thousands of women regain not only their health but also their dignity. Known as the man who mends women, the doctor is a vital voice for human rights and the fight against impunity. His presence here reminds us today of our collective responsibility to defend human dignity here and around the world. So I invite my colleagues to join me in thanking him for his incredible work. Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Portage-Lisgar.
The Liberals did not drive our economy into the ditch by accident. They took every wrong turn, ignored every warning sign, and now they want to blame everyone else. After more than a decade of inflationary spending, red tape, and anti-development laws, Canada is now the only G20 country in a recession. Families are not reading this in economics textbook, Mr. Speaker. They are living it at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and at the kitchen table. A new United Way survey found that 60% of Canadians are anxious about their own personal finances. 30 38% are struggling with food insecurity, and 1 in 5 say all the food in their home was gone with no money to buy more. That is not a talking point, that is an empty refrigerator. Last year, a record 2.2 million Canadians lined up at food banks in a single month. Meanwhile, this Prime Minister has spent nearly $1 million for luxury catering over 14 trips, or enough to feed a family for 55 years. The Liberals can blame the mud, the road, or the weather, but everybody knows that they have been behind the wheel. Canadians deserve a government that stops.
The honourable member for Cape Breton, Canso, Antigonish.
Mr. Speaker, June is National Indigenous History Month, and I want to acknowledge the history I witnessed on Saturday when Mi'kmaq rock icons, The Relatives, took to the stage to celebrate their 40th anniversary as a band. Tom Johnson, Stan Johnson, Derek Johnson, Darren Stevens, Robert Stevens, and Tom Sillaboy have been playing crowd-pleasing get-up-and-dance music across Cape Breton and Mi'kmaq for 4 decades. With great original songs like Nudabahan, Chigualu Kwajijo, and the perfect love song, The Relatives are pioneers in singing songs in the Mi'kmaq language. Mr. Speaker, The Relatives are not only talented musicians, but have been exemplary members of the community, volunteering, mentoring, or performing for local causes. They have had deep and lasting impacts that reach far beyond their music. In some circles, the longevity of the band has led them to earn the moniker of the Mi'kmaq Rolling Stones. And I'm proud to recognize them. Welugweo, Awelta Aldi. Thank you for your 40 years of excellence.
The honourable member for York Centre.
I rise with a heavy heart to address a tragedy that struck the Toronto Police and our entire nation. Early this morning, tactical officers from TPS and the RCMP executed a high-risk search warrant in North York. The search related to a national security investigation into the March 2026 shooting at the U.S. Consulate in Toronto. ETF Constable Mark Pinizzotto, age 43, a father of 2 from Oakville, Ontario, an 18-year veteran of the Toronto Police, was shot and killed in the line of duty. When civilians run one way from danger, the men and women in blue run the other way into danger. Everyday police officers across our country put their life on the line to protect Canadians. We owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. To the family, friends, and colleagues of Constable Pinizzotto, we cannot fathom your grief, but we stand with you in mourning the loss of this Canadian hero. We will never forget Constable Pinizzotto, and we will pray for all of Canada's police officers who risked their lives to keep us all safe. May Mark's soul rest in peace. May God bless his family and our entire grieving nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for York South-Western Etobicoke.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart because a member of the Toronto Police Service has died in the line of duty in my community of York South-Western. Constable Mark Pinizzotto was an 18-year veteran of the Toronto Police Service and a member of its elite emergency task force, one of the most dangerous and demanding jobs in policing. He lost his life in service to Torontonians and to the people of Canada, working on an investigation on a number of shootings in the city, including at the United States Consulate. We cannot imagine the pain being felt by his family, his friends, and his colleagues at the Toronto Police Service. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. To everyone in law enforcement, thank you for your service. May Constable Pinizzotto rest in peace.
Oral questions, questions orales, the honourable member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I'm sure every member of this House was devastated to learn of a Toronto police officer who was shot and killed in the line of duty. We grieve alongside his family, his friends and colleagues, the colleagues of Constable Mark Pinizzotto, an 18-year veteran of the force who served his city with courage and devotion until his very final moments. His loved ones and the men and women in uniform right across this country who put their lives on the line every single day, to them our gratitude is beyond measure. Mr. Speaker, in the wake of this tragic loss, will the Minister of Public Safety please update the House on the government's response?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I'm heartbroken in hearing the passing of Officer Mark Pinziotto. I was able to connect with the Toronto Police Chief as well as the Toronto Police Association, as well as the Mayor of the City of Toronto, in expressing our profound grief and condolences to the people of Toronto and to all those who serve on the front lines. Today's a day for all of us to come together and cherish those who serve us each and every day, risking their lives. To the families who sacrifice every day with the hopes that their member will go home, I pray for them. I pray for all those in law enforcement. I pray that the Constable Pinziotto's family have the peace that they need to go through this very difficult time.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
We know indeed it's a difficult time. We know that this is the second officer killed in the line of duty this week. That number is too high. Constable Pinizotto is executing a warrant linked to several shootings, including one targeting the U.S. consulate in Toronto. With an attack on a diplomatic mission on Canadian soil, a police officer now dead, and a suspect at large, can the Minister please tell this House whether security agencies are engaged and what the government is specifically doing to support the investigation and keep Canadians from coast to coast safe?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the outset, our INSEC team as well as the RCMP personnel and senior leadership have been fully engaged in this investigation. They've been supporting the Toronto Police Services, including deploying 2 special task forces in order to support the investigation as it unfolds. The work of the Toronto Police Service, part of the collaborative efforts of all of our law enforcement agencies in order to ensure the safety and security and national security interests of Canadians, is paramount, and we will work in collaboration to ensure that we get results and we support those in frontline policing.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
This Prime Minister stuffed his face with $17,000 of salmon on just 3 taxpayer-funded flights. That's as much as a family will spend.
So just in the interest of decorum in the House, perhaps the member can find other words, but he may continue, obviously.
This Prime Minister spent $17,000 worth of salmon on just 3 taxpayer-funded flights. That's as much as a family will spend on grocery for the entire year. And while sending 2.2 million Canadians into a food bank every single month, is it fair that he stuffed his face with $94,000 of catering on just 1 flight to Rome, when that's how much 5 families spend on groceries for the entire year?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, and people wonder why people look down on the antics in this House of Commons.
I'm sorry, that was a bit loud. That was a bit loud. Let's try to keep the noise level to a certain level. The Honourable Government House Leader.
On a day where we are mourning the loss of a first responder, people should really wonder as they look on the House of Commons why folks look down on some of the antics here when you follow up such a constructive exchange with something penned quite obviously from the desk of the Leader of the Opposition. I expect 30 more of those today. Let's just hope they can up their game a little bit, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
Speaker, there's no need to politicize the loss of the police officer. We're asking questions on behalf of the 2.2 million Canadians waiting in a food bank line because of failed Liberal policies. And now 40% of Canadians are losing sleep. But you know who's not losing seat, the Prime Minister, who's fine dining on the taxpayer dime. Is it fair the Prime Minister gets to live lavishly on the taxpayer dime while sending more Canadians to the food bank every single month?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as Canadians know all too well, we are in the midst of a trade war. We are in the midst of negotiating some of the most signal world events that we have seen in a generation, including 2 wars, one in the Middle East and one in Europe. Our Prime Minister is representing our country proudly on the international stage. When he goes there, he comes home with agreements, with deals, with investments that give opportunity to Canadians, that supply jobs to Canadians, and help us get things done for Canadians so we can ensure our prosperity, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister left his position as chairman of Brookfield in New York to come to Canada, he forgot that he was no longer working for a private company but for Canadian taxpayers. Canadians are currently in the midst of a recession. They're paying more for everything. Millions are hurting, yet government documents reveal that nearly $1 million was spent on food on the Prime Minister's flights over just 14 trips. While families have to watch every cent they spend at the supermarket, does the Prime Minister really believe that spending $1 million on meals on government aircraft is a responsible use of taxpayers' money? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. Mr. Speaker, Canadians watch our deliberations here and find it unfortunate to see this kind of accusatory tone. We are in intense trade negotiations. There are wars in the Middle East, in Europe, and the Prime Minister proudly represents us. He brings back investments, agreements, and opportunities for all of our country, and we are proud of our Prime Minister. We are proud of the efforts he deploys internationally, and I hope that he'll continue to do so. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. I think that the tone is right when we see the waste from the other side. Well, that's been going on for years. I understand, Mr. Speaker, that it must be difficult for the Prime Minister to get used to life in the public service when all with his past in a private company like Brookfield, but each trip on average costs $70,000, but only for the food, not for fuel, not for the planes, only for food and drink. At a time when food banks have never been in such high demand, how can the Prime Minister justify spending over $1 million on the back of Canadians? The Honourable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, I would like to add my voice for the family of Constable Mark Pinizzotto. Our thoughts are with his family. Mr. Speaker, to answer my colleague's question, our government is making generational investments, in fact, in infrastructure, in housing, in competitivity and innovation. Every member of this government, Mr. Speaker, is working tooth and nail to get investments, and the Prime Minister is the pride of Canadians in Canada, not only here but abroad. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has sacrificed the future of French language culture to Donald Trump. He is absolutely abandoning 10 years of struggle to get American internet giants to finally contribute to the funding of creative works and news. In exchange for what? In exchange for yet another escalation of hostilities from Washington. Having witnessed Canada's capitulation on culture, President Trump's reaction yesterday was to declare that he does not wish to renew CUSMA. Does the Prime Minister realise that he has sacrificed culture for absolutely nothing? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. My colleague, the Minister for Canadian Identity, will answer in a second, but we have to think on the Bloc Québécois drift. 2 weeks ago, the Yes Quebec accused the sovereignist movement of a lack of tolerance. But now, Monsieur de Belleval said it very well, a former Minister for Transport from the Parti Québécois. He said that the Bloc Québécois is also renouncing its dreams and its hopes for mobility, and I hope the member for Repentigny will correct them, but up to now, we've taken note. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, That had absolutely nothing to do with my question and nothing to do with the work of this House. The Prime Minister has capitulated on royalties for online broadcasters, even though Europe is doing it. He's capitulated on the digital services tax, even though France is doing it. He's excluded American multinationals from the global minimum tax. He has scrapped his counter-tariffs. He's trying to persuade the provinces to abandon their boycotts of American spirits. He's doing everything he can to appease Donald Trump. And the result of all these concessions is, after all, more concessions. It's a categorical rejection of the renewal of COSMA. Does the Prime Minister realise that this strategy of weakness is simply not working? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for the rather vivacious reading of her question. The Bloc Québécois just comes here to waffle on, but we are investing $700 million in culture. In the last press conference, I announced $600 million for culture, including in Quebec. And I also forgot $100 million for the export strategy so that our programs like TV5 Monde and Quebec shows can shine abroad. The Honourable Member for Drummond. Well, we don't say programme in French, but émission. Anyway. Mr. Speaker, whilst our media continue to lose millions in revenue, the Prime Minister has attempted to appease Donald Trump by ending a decade-long campaign by the cultural sector to ensure that web giants pay their fair share. The Americans' reaction? More threats from Donald Trump regarding COSMA. There's a Quebec filmmaker, Pierre Falardeau, and I don't think the Prime Minister knows him. He said, "If you lie down, they'll trample you. If you resist, they'll hate you, but they will call you sir." So, wouldn't the Prime Minister like to follow this advice and be called sir? The Honourable Minister. First of all, I'd like to thank my colleague across the way for the quality of his French. Mr. Falardeau was funded by the National Film Board.
The honourable member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Mr. Speaker, the NSICOP Act mandates that it must be reviewed before October 6th of 2022. Unlike his response on January 29th, could the House Leader please provide the date the government intends to initiate the long overdue review of the Act? Further, will the Liberals support my motion which would establish a joint committee to ensure Parliament abides by this law?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleague for the question and the work that he's been doing as part of NSICOP. As you're aware, Mr. Speaker, it is a body of Parliament that ensures review of our security practices, and we look forward to the review that we will undertake starting this year.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
$200 million. That's what Liberals gave a near-bankrupt company of well-connected Liberal insiders and family members for now 3 failed launches from a concrete slab spaceport. While Canadians pay for the most expensive science fair project in history, the only successful thing taking off are the bank accounts of Liberal insiders like Sasha Jacobs, who turned worthless shares of the company into a $1.8 million personal windfall after Liberals lit the fuse. Will the Prime Minister just admit that this was all about greasing the palms of well-connected Liberal insiders?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, our investments in Canada's space capabilities, the member will know, will translate into new jobs, stronger supply chains, greater industrial capacity, and a more resilient Canadian economy. We're taking decisive action to strengthen our security and sovereignty and to reinforce the resilience and long-term strength of the country. We're strengthening Atlantic Canada's industrial capacity, growing Nova Scotia's role in Canada's defence industry, and giving Canada the capability it needs to respond to evolving global security challenges while supporting long-term economic growth.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Well, that's no answer from the Minister. We got 30 more of those. I sure hope they up their game with the answers. And the CEO of Farm Credit Canada last year, Justine Hendricks, spent more than $213,000 just on travel. She spent another $53,000 on hospitality, including one meal for more than $6,500. That's more than a third of what a family of 4 spends on groceries for an entire year. Can the minister tell me how much more out-of-control spending is he going to approve this year?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Energy.
FCC is an independent Crown corporation and operates at arm's length. With that said, what I can say is that farmers and agriculture stakeholders around the country appreciate what the good work that is done by FCC. We're working hard to grow the agriculture sector and the strongest economy in the G7, and FCC is an important part of our effort. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals themselves are warning public investment in ag research and development has fallen by 15%. Private sector R&D outsourced to universities is down 77%, and the number of firms conducting research in Canada has dropped by 30%. Yet the Liberal Ag Minister himself is slashing $115 million in agriculture research. Science took the hit for 75% of the cuts in his department. Did the Ag Minister personally approve these cuts, yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
We're spending less to invest more, and we're making
I don't know what the clock is at. I don't know what the clock is. Can you start the clock again? Okay, we'll start from the top. We'll start from the top. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we're spending less to invest more. We're maintaining our presence in every single province and remain the largest agricultural researcher in the country. Mr. Speaker, by streamlining research and development, we can build a strong, collaborative science system that supports producer, strengthen competitiveness, and position Canadian agriculture for long-term success. That's what we do, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Stormont Dundas Glengarry.
Close to an answer, but now new documents reveal the Prime Minister spent $1 million on in-flight catering since taking office last year. That's enough money to feed a Canadian family for 55 years. And look at the list. Luxury buttercups, creme brulee, Scottish salmon, smoked Gouda. With millions lined up at the food banks, will the Liberals agree to stop their luxurious in-flight catering bills?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives fail to recognize that when times are tough, what they really want is they want a government that will stand up for them. And in fact, that's exactly what we've done, Mr. Speaker, time and again, by cutting taxes for 22 million people, by making sure that people can have access to quality childcare for a fraction of the price, by making sure people can access training programs, by making sure the social safety nets are there for when people are facing job loss. These are all things, by the way, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives vote against. If they really want to help Canadians, why don't they stop voting against them?
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Shuswap Central Rockies.
Again, not even an answer, not even close to the question. All parties acknowledge that the salmon allocation policy must be aligned with the HoC decision, but while all Canadians have the rights to fish, the minister keeps the public's lives and livelihood on hold, waiting for her to decide whether the public current allocation priority for Chinook and Coho before non-Indigenous commercial will be retained. Will she confirm today that this priority will remain?
Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Thank you for the opportunity for me to once again say that I have met with stakeholders in BC across all perspectives. We're working on the decision. There is space for recreational fishing, commercial, and the need for Indigenous harvesting. We will balance the decision.
The Honourable Member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, Northern Indigenous communities paid the Liberal carbon tax when they bought their fuel in bulk. The tax has now been repealed, yet a year later, these communities are still waiting for their refund. On what date will these communities receive their money? Just the date, please.
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We continue to work with Northerners on solving all of the issues in the North, including affordability, and we'll continue to do so. I'm happy to work with the member opposite on finding some solutions.
Well said.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, the reform of the New Horizons programme is jeopardising community projects for seniors. Our organisations have 1 month to submit their projects, but in the meantime, Ottawa now requires them to register as a business, which can take up to 10 months. Furthermore, the criteria excludes small groups such as certain FADOCs and local farmers' circles whose parent organisation is registered, but they are not. Ottawa must give organisations time to comply and ensure that none are disqualified because of the new criteria. Will the government postpone its reform? The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
In April, we introduced changes to the New Horizons for Seniors program, including requiring a CRA business number. For most seniors organizations, this change delivers clearer, fairer standards that increases the program's integrity. And for organizations that don't have this number, Service Canada is available to assist all applicants. You know who else is available to assist applicants, Mr. Speaker? Members of Parliament. That's why we provided a session to all members of Parliament so that they could ask their questions, a session that unfortunately that member did not attend.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, on the 14th of July is almost tomorrow. No one's asked for this New Horizons reform. It is an unimaginable headache for volunteers working for the well-being of seniors. Community organisations that still do not have a business number will not have time to register by the 14th of July. And that's not to mention the hundreds of others at the local level who simply cannot register because of their stricture. That's what we were told at the briefing. This reform is not designed to address the reality faced by organisations and seniors in Quebec. Will the government postpone this programme to prevent the new criteria from undermining seniors' projects? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, prior to these changes, the New Horizons for Seniors program was the only grant in the Government of Canada that was not subject to these integrity measures. We are putting this program in line with all other grants and contributions across the Government of Canada, and by looking at the clock, I can see that it is June 11th. There is lots of time for organizations, and we are there to help them, and we will make sure that they have what they need to apply for these programs, because we want nothing more than to ensure seniors have access to the important programs that prevent social isolation. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Laudbinière. Mr. Speaker, the auto train is a right old pain. It's a perpetual burden on the shoulders of future generations. Yesterday, the Transport Minister opened the door to cost overruns. The Minister is therefore prepared for it to cost far more than $90 billion earmarked and to blow all the budget sky high. Is the Liberal Transport Minister prepared to subsidise a bottomless pit? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. The answer is no. And it will continue to be no. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Haute-Binière. That's not even an answer, Mr. Speaker. I heard something extraordinary. Why have the Liberals deregulated the New Horizons for Seniors programmes just days before its launch in 2026? They're changing the rules. They're making it impossible for organisations to apply for a grant. I've received about 10 letters of complaint from farmers' associations and seniors clubs. Will the Liberal create a programme to help our seniors apply to the New Horizons for Seniors programme? It's completely ridiculous, Mr. Speaker. Let's see what the members will say to their constituents back home. The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the New Horizons programme for seniors is one that we are very proud of. That will be of benefit to thousands of organisations throughout Quebec and Canada. Will continue to support this programme, a programme that works. But I hope that when the Honourable Member speaks to his seniors in his riding, I hope that he'll tell the 39,000 people that they won't have access to dental care plan if he votes as he's expecting to stop them from getting dental care. What a shame, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent-Aquinnerac. What is a shame is to keep charities hostage and take charities hostage. The Commissioner of Indigenous Languages organised a 4-day conference at a cost of $10 million. $10 million for 4 days. To quote a professor from the University of Manitoba, just imagine with all that money how many students could have learnt, Indigenous students could have learnt their mother tongue. Does the Minister agree with this? The Honourable Minister. Like the member knows full well, I have asked that an investigation be strong, and it would be inappropriate to comment on it at this stage.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. No good answers today, and yet these are very simple questions that we're asking. Every time the Liberals are in power, tension goes up with Quebec, with Alberta, and with the other provinces. Why? Well, it's clear. It's because the Liberals don't respect the Quebecois nation. They don't respect Quebec, not any more than they respect Alberta. They continue to centralize power, and they continue to interfere in provincial jurisdiction, Mr. Speaker. For the Liberals, Canada is their country, and it has to be managed their way. Can the Liberal government finally take care of its own business, respect provincial autonomy, and understand that their role is to serve, not to control? The Honourable Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, the things that we hear in this House, respecting the Quebecois nation, where was he, Mr. Speaker, last Tuesday when, with the Premier of Quebec, we announced $10 billion for infrastructure in Quebec? Where was he? The only place, Mr. Speaker, where you see Quebecers is where they can take money away from Quebecers that they need from infrastructure, to take away $3 billion from Quebec for the tramway, to take away TGV for Quebec that's going to lead us into the future for decades to come. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, an answer that means nothing. They're lost. Liberals think they're in control of everything, but it's the people who must be served, and they should not be using the people, Mr. Speaker. After 11 years of this Liberal government and the passage of Bill C-83 in 2019, we are now seeing the consequences in our prisons. Increased violence, a lack of staff, repeated attacks among inmates, and a number of murders inside prison walls. Correctional officers in Donnacona and elsewhere are calling for concrete tools. When will the Liberal government fix its mistakes and restore security in our prisons? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, my colleague will be happy to learn that we're working hand in hand with the Government of Quebec on these issues. My colleague should know that we have a pilot project, Mr. Speaker, to help take cell phones out of prisons across the country. We will always be there to support the safety of our prison officers and guards. We will continue to fight extortion and crime across the country.
Member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Mr. Speaker, mining is already one of Canada's largest economic drivers, contributing billions of dollars to the Canadian economy annually. But the sector is experiencing a labour shortage right now, needing 250,000 new hires over the next 10 years. Can the Minister of Jobs and Families please update the House on a national announcement that was recently held in my riding of South Shore St. Margaret's about what's being done to ensure that Canadian workers can take advantage of these generational opportunities? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to that member for her hard work and her advocacy to bring the mining industry together to ensure we have the skills that we need for today and for tomorrow. Yes, this alliance is launched with great fanfare from the industry, praising the Government of Canada for taking action to make sure that skills that are taught are aligned with what the industry needs. This is how you build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Niagara West.
Canadians with documented, serious and permanent COVID-19 vaccine injuries have been waiting years for help. A government contractor was hired to provide that help. The government contractor got $54 million for little to no results. 2/3 of that money went to administration and overhead. Only 252 out of tens of thousands of vaccine-injured people were given any help at all. Mr. Speaker, on what day are the victims going to get their money?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member for that question. The allegation against the previous vendor for the vaccine injury program was absolutely unacceptable. That's why we brought the administration of the program internal to ensure money is expended appropriately, and we've directed Public Health Agency to bring the program, to alter the program to ensure our dollars are spent correctly. And we look forward to working with members across the House to make sure vulnerable Canadians are looked after. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Ponoka-Didsbury.
In 2020, the Liberals demonized law-abiding gun owners and banned over 2,500 models of firearms. Yet since then, violent crime and gun smuggling has only increased. Now the Supreme Court of Canada has slapped the Liberals' wrist by extending their own hardline amnesty period on their ridiculous gun grab. Since the Prime Minister loves off-ramps so much, will he take this one and abandon this billion-dollar boondoggle that even his own public safety minister admits doesn't work?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government's decision to extend the amnesty order respects the judicial process, and it provides greater certainty for firearm owners across Canada. To date, over 142,000 firearms have been declared, and firearms owners have already begun making appointments to drop off their prohibited weapons. We'll keep working to keep communities across Canada safe, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, it's been well over a year since this Liberal government received evidence that federally funded infrastructure projects were using illegal and trafficked labour, violating funding agreements and leaving legitimate trades workers on the sidelines unemployed. The Liberal response since then? Crickets. So when will the Liberals stop funding projects that are using illegal trafficked labourers, instead ensure the work goes to legitimate Canadian trades workers?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to reassure the members that the Canada Infrastructure Bank and the infrastructure investments we make as a country follow the Canadian Labour Code. Thank you.
Hamilton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Mr. Speaker, a serious question that deserved a serious answer. Buried in the Liberals' omnibus budget bill is yet another ministerial power grab. Cabinet gives itself more powers to award contracts while allowing themselves to muzzle the very watchdog, the procurement ombudsman, that is meant to monitor them. Why are the Liberals rigging the rules so they can hand out contracts without anyone watching?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
To the contrary, I want to highlight and thank the Procurement Ombuds for the work he's done over the years and for the work he's doing. The Auditor General also has a role to play in making sure and helping us make sure that as we go forward with procurement, that all procurements respect the highest standard and that they are done transparently in an open and competitive process, which is the basic rule.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Northwest.
In 2020, the Liberals told chiefs they would make First Nations policing an essential service with new legislation and expanded service to number of communities served. 6 years later, nothing. And we hear every week from First Nations on how their people are dying because of these broken promises when it comes to safety. On what date will the Liberals table that policing bill and keep their promises for once?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, we've been working with First Nations Inuit police communities across Canada to ensure the safety and security of all those in community. We are increasing the number of resources available for infrastructure, and we continue to ensure that the funding is applied throughout the year, Mr. Speaker. But what I do want to say is, if the party opposite is serious about public safety, the number one issue that has been sought is lawful access, which is Bill C-22, which the party opposite is blocking and obstructing as we speak, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
And Mr. Speaker, another non-answer. Joseph Murdoch Flowers, Executive Director of the Community Food Centre in Iqaluit, said this week, "We have seen our daily meal count go from around 58,000 in 2022 to almost 91,000 last year.
They've served 37,000 meals so far this year in a town of 7,500 people. The Liberals have been in power for 11 years, yet 58% of people in Nunavut live in food insecure households. After 11 years, does the Prime Minister really think Nunavut has never had it so good?
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know that a food subsidy alone will not solve the food insecurity issue.
That's right.
That is why we have been working to engage 124 of the Nutrition North communities to ensure that we work with them to find the solutions for their communities. What we're working towards is moving from a food subsidy to a food economy. That means a whole of government approach, and I continue looking forward to working with the member opposite to finding solutions.
Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Another non-answer. This Liberal government says that they're making affordable for everyday Canadians. If this is true, can the minister please stand up and explain why seniors make up the fastest growing group in the Waterloo region facing homelessness? And the wait list for individuals needing affordable homes over 55 in the region has increased by 700%.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, yet another question from a Member of Parliament that continually votes against the very things that would help with housing and homelessness. Things like an investment in Ontario, $3 billion through the National Housing Strategy. Guess what, Mr. Speaker? That member votes against these things. If that member really wants to help people who are suffering from housing scarcity, what she should do is stop voting against the things they need.
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague asked a serious question and she deserved a serious answer. Now, the position of Canada's independent ombudsman for responsible enterprise has sat vacant for a year. Open cases have stalled, and as a result, victims of modern slavery and exploitation are blocked from justice. Can the minister tell this House when the date of when this important position will be filled and by whom?
The Honourable Minister of International
I'd like to
Trade.
thank the member opposite for that very important question. The National Contact Point does amazing work to make sure that our supply chains are protected against forced labor, and we'll continue making sure that they do the diligent work. In terms of the core, we'll make a decision in due course. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Do any of the ministers over there know their files? Mr. Speaker, telecom coverage maps rely on industry claims, but in Elgin County and across southwestern Ontario, these maps do not reflect actual service, with persistent dead zones in areas where companies claim full coverage. What precisely is the industry minister doing to ensure that rural Canadians are getting the cell service they're paying for?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know for this government, rural connectivity is very important and affordability is very important. That's why cell phone rates, the average cell phone rate has actually gone down 43% over the last 3 years, while companies continue to invest in their infrastructure. We work hard with these companies and through the CRTC to make sure investments continue, including in rural Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Spadina Harbourfront.
Mr. Speaker, the eyes of the world are on Canada today as the 2026 FIFA...
The honourable member for Spadina Harbourfront can start from the beginning.
Mr. Speaker, the eyes of the world are on Canada today as the 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off. This tournament is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. My downtown Toronto riding of Spadina Harbourfront is set to host matches, the Canadian FIFA World Cup opening celebration, and the FIFA Fan Fest at the Bentway. Toronto is proud to welcome the world. Can the Secretary of State for Sport tell us what this historic moment means for Canadians?
Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you so much.
much, Mr. Speaker. What an extraordinary moment we are at in sport in Canada. We are so proud and excited to be co-hosting the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup with Mexico and the United States. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow Canada will play its first ever FIFA Men's World Cup match in Toronto against Bosnia-Herzegovina, Mr. Speaker. It will inspire countless young Canadians. It will bring $1 billion to our national revenue, Mr. Speaker. It will be watched by 5 billion viewers around the world, Mr. Speaker. Sport is one of Canada's greatest nation-building projects, and we are so proud to be hosting the world's biggest event this year. Go, Canada, go!
The honourable member for Cloverdale, Langley City. The honourable member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
The Liberals want to make it easier to hide information from Canadians by no longer allowing government emails or text messages to be part of an information request. Wow. Even the Independent Information Commissioner is opposed. Will the President of the Treasury Board reverse this proposal and defend Canadians' rights to know?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I've never seen so much excitement from the Conservatives for an answer, Mr. Speaker. You can see that summer is coming, Mr. Speaker. They're wakening now, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question is very serious, and I can assure the member of this House and all Canadians watching that we have some of the strongest law when it comes to government information and disclosure, Mr. Speaker. We believe in an open government. We believe in providing information to Canadians, and Canadians should be reassured that we have some of the strongest law in the G7.
Member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps somebody on that side over there can answer this question. For weeks, the Prime Minister and government ministers have insisted that strong measures are already in place to combat the importation of products using forced labor from importation into Canada. If that's the case, then why did the government give the House notice that it's going to introduce a bill entitled An Act Respecting the Prohibition of the Importation of Goods Produced by Forced Labor?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has some of the most rigorous forced labor laws in the world and has been clear that we condemn forced labor everywhere that it exists. Every good that enters the country is subject to rigorous import controls and screening. For example, Canada's new government is...
Let's be a little quieter. The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs can continue.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker, Canada's new government is hiring 1,000 new CBSA officers and investing over $617 million into the CBSA to keep our borders secure. We will continue to protect Canada's interests while upholding labor standards for all workers, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Peace River, Westlock.
Mr. Speaker, one of those really great laws is Bill S-211 that required companies selling, distributing goods in Canada to produce an annual report. But the Liberals, contrary to the law, revised their directive and exempted a bunch of their corporate buddies from having to file this report. Now the U.S. is investigating Canada for not fighting forced labor and threatening us in the CUSMA talks. Why is it that this government is putting the CUSMA talks in jeopardy so that they can pad the pockets of their corporate buddies instead of fighting slavery?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Again, Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. Canada and the United States share the goal of keeping goods produced through forced labor out of our supply chains. Canada already has strong protections in place. We will take further action to strengthen them through new legislation. We will continue working closely with our partners to uphold high labor standards and ensure fair, rules-based trade. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Peterborough.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many Canadians are facing a housing affordability crisis, with too many people unable to find a home they can afford. Our government was elected with a clear mandate to build more homes, increase housing supply. Yesterday, the House passed Bill C-20, transforming Build Canada Homes into a Crown corporation focused on accelerating affordable housing construction. Would the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure explain how this legislation will help make housing more affordable and accessible for Canadians?
Great question. Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the member from Peterborough for her great question and her great work in the community. Yesterday was a great day for affordable housing. Despite the opposition of members opposite against affordable housing again, the government has passed the Build Canada Homes Act here in this House. This brings us one step closer to getting affordable housing built. Build Canada Homes becomes a Crown corporation with the support of the Senate. We're looking forward to working with our senators to secure the bill's final passage through, get Build Canada Homes up and running and delivering affordable.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, for the last 45 minutes, Canadians watching at home know that this is not answer period. They don't have a single answer, and their ministers are out of their depth. Some were reading off their cell phones, and the president of the Treasury Board is still flipping through his binder, looking for the answer to the question. But this is serious. Canadians at home are going hungry. Seniors are living on the side of the highway because they can't afford a home. When will this government reverse its disastrous policies that got us here in the first place?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, if you call feeding hungry kids disastrous policy, I'd like to introduce that member to some parents and indeed some kids in my riding in the town of Marathon. Mr. Speaker.
Too loud. The minister. Yeah. Now that it's a bit quieter, the minister may continue.
Mr. Speaker, if you'd like to talk about people who are fighting against Canadians, if you'd like to talk about disastrous policy would be pulling out the safety nets that this government has worked hard to put there for Canadians. When Canadians are struggling, you know what they don't wonder in bed? They don't wonder, what can we take away from my friends and neighbors? Instead, they say, how do we stand up for each other? How do we help people? How do we make sure people...
The honourable member for Courtney Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's national shipbuilding strategy focuses on building and maintaining vessels, but there's no plan for responsibly retiring them. More than 900 derelict and end-of-life vessels sit off BC's coast, threatening the marine environment. While aging Navy and Coast Guard vessels approach retirement, Canada lacks the capacity to safely recycle them here at home. Will the Prime Minister finally commit to investing in dry dock infrastructure, world-class ship recycling facilities and regulations, and make ship recycling a core component of the national shipbuilding strategy?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
I want to thank my honourable friend. Of course, ship recycling is a multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry and also an opportunity. And indeed, as the member points out, there are many derelict vessels, including many owned by the people of Canada. We will continue to work very hard on this file. I'm very well aware of the interest in the Port Alberni area in engaging in this industry. We are extremely interested with it, and I will be very pleased to continue working with the member on that issue.
The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, we already knew that the cost of acquiring the F-35 had skyrocketed from $19 billion to $28 billion. And now we've learned that on top of the 72 American jets, the Liberals are thinking about buying another 72 fighter jets, Gripens. So that would mean a potential fleet of 144 fighter jets. The questions are simple. First, is that true? Second, how much is it going to cost? And three, couldn't we invest that money elsewhere to meet the needs of the public? The Honourable Minister of National Defence. Mr. Speaker, we are proceeding with the acquisition of a new fleet of fighter jets for the Royal Canadian Air Force. The Honourable Member knows that well. We are looking at all different procurement approaches to make sure that they align with Canadians' interests and the needs of the armed forces. We are committing to acquiring what the Air Force needs while guaranteeing economic benefits for Canadians, including Quebecers.
I think the member for Elmwood St. Thomas, London South, has a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, on a point of order, during oral questions, the President of the Treasury Board was asked a question. Now that he's had a chance to find the page, would he like to provide an answer?
That's not a point of order, unfortunately. Not a point of order. It being 3:08, the House will now, it being 3:08, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at third reading of Bill C-16. Call in the members.
The question is as follows.
Monsieur Fraser, appuyé par Monsieur.
Mr. Fraser, seconded by Mr. Lightbond, moved that Bill C-16 enact to amend certain acts in relation to criminal and correctional matters, child protection, gender-based violence, delays, and other measures be now read a third time and do pass. The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person. All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
Gatineau.
Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau.
Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Ananda-Sangari.
Mr. Ananda-Sangari.
Mr. Fraser.
Mr. Fraser.
Ms. Oljevsky.
Ms. Oljevsky.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Monsieur Duclos.
Monsieur Duclos.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Ms. Chager.
Chager.